My name is Lucas, and this is my story of how an innocent late-night internet search unraveled my life into terror. It began one uneventful Thursday evening. Like most of my nights, it was spent mindlessly scrolling through the web after a long day at work. But that night, my curiosity steered me towards the obscure territories of the internet places whispered about with intrigue and warning the dark web. I had read about people finding arcane forums or forbidden knowledge, but what I encountered was a chat room, simply titled Whispers of the Forgotten. I should have clicked away the moment I saw it, but something drew me in. The chat was active, the window alive with conversation fragments. People discussed books that were long out of print, sharing cryptic tales and mentions of the veil, a term none elaborated upon. I hesitated, but soon joined the fray, asking what the veil was. Seconds later, a direct message popped onto my screen. Do you wish to see beyond the veil? Before I could decide, instinct brought my finger to the enter key, and I was greeted with a link. Come see the truth. Fueled by the adrenaline of the unknown, I clicked. The screen flickered and went black before bathing in dim orange light, like a candle in a terrified room. Next came an old-fashioned, grainy-looking video feed displaying what seemed to be an obscure ritual. Hooded figures stood around a bonfire, chanting in solemn unison. I wanted to close it, but was paralyzed by an inexplicable force keeping my eyes glued, heart pounding like a primal drum. Suddenly, the camera panned to an altar, now clear that this was no ordinary show. On it lay a book bound in a worn, leathery cover, etched with symbols that seemed to breathe with sinister energy. Almost sensing my presence, one of the figures turned and looked straight at the camera. No face was visible, but somehow, I felt as if their void-like gaze pierced directly through the screen into my soul. Lucas, a voice, too deep to be earthly, emerged from my speakers. Do not fear the truth. I yanked the power cable from my computer, leaving my room in crushing silence. Several days passed, the memory of the encounter fading, but leaving an aftertaste of dread. I didn't return to that chat room, rationalizing it as an elaborate prank. But strange things began happening. Random power outages plagued my home despite clear weather. Unexplained whispers haunted the air at the edges of sleep. Then, the dreams started no nightmares, but vividly surreal visions of places I had never been, always overshadowed by the patient pulse of that bonfire. Unsettled, I sought help. An old friend, intrigued by the unknown, visited me. Knowing all this sounded absurd, I still recounted my tale. As I spoke, I felt an icy breeze sweep the room, although the windows were shut tight. My friend, an unwavering skeptic, observed with detached curiosity, chalking it up to my imagination. Yet later, he called past midnight. His usually confident voice now quivered as he described seeing hooded figures at his doorstep in flickering streetlight shadows. Needless to say, he never doubted me again. As the events escalated, I became a prisoner in my own home, afraid of what lay outside and what I might unintentionally invite inside. Desperate for answers, I decided to venture back to the forbidden website, dreading the confrontation and needing resolution. This time, things were different. Instead of the chat, a single question occupied the screen. Are you ready to open the veil? Swallowing hard, I hesitated but ultimately clicked, seeking an end to my torment. I was met with a live video feed my own apartment, every angle surveyed like a moth trapped in a light bulb's glare. Oscillating shadows danced around the corners of my room, and in the grainy feed, hooded figures emerged closing in, their presence deeply felt, yet unseen in reality. Panic surged as I tried powering off, to no effect. Fear gave way to anger. Enraged, I hurled the laptop against the wall, feeling heat rise, a tangible conflagration within reaching a crescendo. The urge to break free surged, and then nothing. Silence thudded into my being like a benediction. The screen went dark as stillness crept into the room, pervasive and absolute. When I clicked the pulsating X with a shaking hand, the website vanished as if it never existed, leaving me standing alone amidst the unfolding dread dissipating. A year has passed, but the events haunt me a sinister shadow, unfurling each dusk. I moved to a new place, sought therapy, Yet the quiet spaces whisper threats I can't unhear. No traces of the website, but news of disappearances flicker occasionally. Encounters too painful to ignore. Now, each nightfall operates under quiet vigilance against a world lurking beyond what is seen. I learned a chilling truth. I was naive to seek the angels veiled from our merciful ignorance, but sometimes they find you regardless. My name is David Reynolds, and this is my story of how I uncovered the haunting truth behind the Langston house. It all started one dreary fall evening when I accepted a job to renovate an old Victorian home that had been standing vacant on a desolate street corner of our town for decades. Known as Langston House, it had a local reputation as haunted, but I didn't believe in ghost stories. Or at least, I didn't then. The moment I set foot on the creaky wooden porch, things felt off. The air was heavy and carried a scent of mildew intertwined with faint whispers of lavender from the overgrown garden. Each step inside was marked by the creaking of aged floorboards that seemed to echo, as though there was a latency, lagging just behind my movements. At first glance, it was typical of any neglected house. Dusty, cobweb-covered furniture and wallpaper peeling in strips like dead skin. But it was on the second day of work when things took a turn for the unsettling. As I tore down old wallpaper in the dining room, an inexplicable chill descended. The thermostat read a steady 67 degrees, but it felt like something cold was pressing against my skin, like invisible hands. The shadows danced unnaturally across the walls, deftly moving with a consciousness that seemed to respond to the beats of my heart. Then I heard a faint melody, a music box lullaby echoing from upstairs. I paused, listening carefully, as the gentle tinkling notes floated through the halls. My logical side insisted it was an old clock, or maybe just an auditory illusion. But the sound was so impossibly clear, its rhythm almost whispering secrets I couldn't grasp. Driven by a mix of curiosity and a foreboding need to find the source, I followed the sound to the attic stairwell. That dark, narrow staircase twisted upwards like a spine, each step chipping underfoot, as though trying to resist my ascent. At the top, I found the attic door slightly ajar, a thin strip of light spilling out. Inside, however, was nothing but shadows, and the music stopped abruptly. It felt as if the room inhaled sharply, holding its breath in anticipation. There was nothing there, just boxes and dust-covered sheets, but the silence was damning, a foreboding lull in the storm. Nights were worse, as my dreams turned fitful. Nightmares crawled through my consciousness like spiders, images of faceless figures whispering ancient secrets that were just beyond understanding. In one vivid dream, a woman dressed in a tattered Victorian gown stood at the end of my bed. Her face was shrouded in shadow, but her eyes were clear and menacing, an impossible black that swallowed any light. She didn't speak, but pointed a skeletal finger towards the window, and I awoke to find it open, though I never remembered unlocking it. The escalation was slow yet unyielding. Tools would go missing, furniture moved to different rooms overnight, as though I shared the house with someone or something else. Friends who visited for a laugh or challenge left quick and disgusted, commenting on the oppressive atmosphere they couldn't quite articulate. Then the knocking began, always at midnight, like a deliberate, timed reminder that I was not alone in Langston House. The knocks came from within the walls, tapping out what felt like Morse code, a language I couldn't comprehend but felt in the depths of my bones as a cry for help or a sinister demand. Desperation led me to dig through the remnants of the attic one night. There, under rotting documents, I found a hidden compartment, cleverly concealed within the wood panels. Inside was a dusty, ornate music box. Its intricate carvings told a story of grief and loss. I couldn't translate, but understood deeply. I wound it hesitantly. The melody was the same chilling tune I had heard that very first day. It was the key, the heart of the haunting, linking the past to the present in ways I never could have imagined. Beneath the music box, there were faded letters tied in a satin ribbon. They were penned by a woman named Emmeline Langston, addressed to a son the town believed she never had. The letters revealed a tragic tale of betrayal and love lost, the resentful spirits of a family broken, trapped within these walls. As I read, the air in the attic thickened, charged with an electricity I couldn't see but felt intimately. The house sighed, a wave of understanding washing over me. Emmeline's sadness, her anger, was woven into the very essence of Langston House, and I had unwittingly awakened it. The knocking stopped after that night, as if Emmeline, or whatever ghost that house held, had finally been heard. I finished my work quietly, creating a semblance of peace from chaos, hoping that as I left, the spirits would find solace in what little justice uncovered truth could serve. Langston House now stands newly restored. Yet as I drive past it every so often, the shadows still flicker as the sun sets, and I can't help but wonder if the spirits still wander its halls. My tale is not one of triumph, but a somber reminder of the stories these walls hold. I learned that some whispers should remain unearthed, for once you've heard them. The echoes never fade, embedding themselves into the narrative of your own soul.